Hi, I'm Dr. Russ, and this is Unit 3C, Write Chapter 1, Part 1. So, you've been busy. You picked a broad topic area for your research, and then you narrowed it down to a more specific problem that you'd like to investigate. And you've spent time in the library or on Google Scholar or talking to people trying to evaluate whether this is a problem you want to investigate and to learn more about the problem. And you've been taking notes as you've done all these things. Well, now it's time to write all that down. So start by going out to Moodle and getting a copy of the Chapter 1, Part 1 template. Your assignment has to be written in APA format, and that template has everything you need to do it. So let's see how that's done. So how do I write section 1.1? That's the background or context section. So from the grayed out steps 1 to 4, you can see you've already done a lot of work. And now it's time to describe the background for your research project, which is known as the context. So how do you describe the background? Basically, you give some background on what is already known about the problem. And what you write may be different depending upon whether you're choosing to investigate a practical research problem or a theoretical research problem. So for practical research, as you write section 1.1, focus on the concrete details of the situation. Consider things like where and when does the problem arise? Who does the problem affect? What attempts have been made by you or others to solve the problem in the past? For theoretical research, think about the scientific, social, geographical, and maybe historical background. What is already known about the problem? Is the problem limited to a certain time period or geographical area? How has the problem been defined and debated in the scholarly research that you looked at? Also, refer to the notes you took earlier when you were learning more about the problem. Next, you're ready to write section 1.2, the actual statement of the problem. Generally in research, we follow a template for writing a problem statement. Keep it clear and concise. And here is a picture of the template. The problem at whatever the location is whatever the problem is. Just that simple. One statement. Sometimes when things are really complicated, people may use 2 sentences, but not more than 2. So let's look at some examples of problem statements. Here is a practical problem in agriculture. The problem at a small farm near Banga is that the amounts of potassium, nitrogen, and phosphorus needed to improve cassava yield is unknown. So there we see the location and the problem. Now let's look at a theoretical problem from business. The problem at Nimba County markets is that equilibrium point between the quantity demanded and the current price and the quantity supplied is unknown. So here again, we have a location and the problem. How about education? Practical problem. The problem at a small private college in Liberia is that student online learning support needs are not fully understood. Here's a practical problem from theology. The problem at one denomination in Bonn is that an effective pastoral response to physical and sexual abuse has not been developed. And a theoretical problem from nursing. The problem at a regional hospital in Kakata is that locally produced low-cost antiseptics have not been evaluated for effectiveness. So we've just looked at 5 types of research problems and they're very concise statements. Now, how do I write section 3, 1.3, the justification for the study? The strategy is to explain to your reader why this problem matters, why it's worth studying. So for any kind of research, theoretical or practical, the goal is to explain the relevance of the research, why it's important that you study this problem. So let's look at how to justify a practical project. Remember that practical research is directly relevant to a specific problem that affects an organization, an institution, a social group, or a society. So that means an issue or a concern is affecting people in some way. Ask yourself, what will happen if this problem is not solved or investigated? Who will feel the consequences if the problem continues? Does the problem have a wider relevance? That is, you may be describing a problem at a specific school or business, farm or hospital, but does it affect something bigger, the whole county, the nation, the world? And are issues such as the one you're describing, can they be found in other situations too? That if you can add more knowledge to this, you'll also help these other situations? And how do we justify a theoretical project? Many theoretical issues have practical consequences, but what if it's less obvious because it's more philosophical or spiritual? To identify why a theoretical problem matters, ask yourself, how will resolve the problem advance the understanding of the topic? What gaps in the knowledge will it help fill? Or how will it help us understand it better? What benefits will this have for future research? How can future studies use what you did? And then, does studying this problem have any direct or indirect consequences for society? Again, when you're writing the justification section, refer to the notes you took earlier when you were asking yourself all those questions about whether you really wanted to study this or not. So the assignment for this unit is to actually write Chapter 1, Part 1, and submit it in the assignment area in Moodle. So get a copy of the Chapter 1, Part 1 template, complete all sections of the template, and there is some blue text in the template giving you some suggestions. Then delete all the blue text before you submit your assignment. Then finally submit the soft copy of Chapter 1, Part 1 in the assignment in Moodle. So that's it. If you have done the previous activities well, you have plenty of material to inform your writing. So let's get busy.